Hello everyone and welcome to West Ham Fan TV's Post-Match Pint, the only post-match fallout show on the internet. We've not come back from nowhere because we didn't go, but Nicky was there and he's gone and had a kip because he got 1 hour's sleep. But we did unfortunately watch the Wolves, West Ham versus Wolves game.
Yeah,
and
we had to suffer as well.
Yeah, we suffered it. First of all, big shout out to the Roundhouse in Dagenham for hosting us today. We're here and like I said, great venue. So we're here in the live venue area. You've got the pub bit next door. It is open. It's just on the side bit. So you got the main pub where it says the Roundhouse. Look to the left. Bang. Come in here and good drinks, good atmosphere. Good people.
We've actually got beers.
Yeah,
We've got beers.
proper beers.
It's a post-match pint.
And it is a West Ham pub. You can come in and see the giant 7-foot West Ham teddy bear that they have.
Oh, I thought you meant like it was an actual giant that used to drink drinks in it.
The West Ham giant.
The Dagenham giant.
Yeah, everyone knows the Dagenham giant.
Our fresh ego axe.
Yep.
Loving that.
Link in the old description for that. Right, so I feel like we've just been plugging everything to delay the inevitable of talking about this god-awful football match.
Basically, we got the good stuff out of the way first.
Yes, that's it. And now we get to the pain. It was just another really, really poor performance after a long international break. And we've actually been all right away from home. But my God,
I mean,
that was atrocious.
17 days off and we come back and perform like that. It's worrying.
Yeah.
Because Wolves in the first half dominated us. They should have been 2 or 3 up. You know, we did have that early chance when Bowen went down the right, and it was good pressing by him.
Yeah.
We won the ball. It was a deflection off of the defender when it put him through. But then Ferguson was just, it's one of them ones. As Bowen squared it too far back, or has Ferguson not timed his run?
Yeah.
But he should be getting a better connection on that. He should have his first goal for West Ham.
Yeah. Mate, I'm with you. I think it is a little bit behind him, so you can probably give him that, but he should be making a cleaner connection. Yeah, shouldn't he?
He's obviously aware it's behind him as he's coming into it. So he can make 1 or 2 decisions. Go for the shot or try and stop control and then take the shot.
Yeah, look, it was a tough game for him, especially in the first half, because he was feeding off scraps most of the time. You know, he didn't have a lot around him. I thought, when you look at our midfield last night, I thought Ward-Prowse was poor. I thought, how'd you say his name? Guilherme. I mean, everyone's been pushing for him to start. I don't get the hype over him. I think, we've paid a lot of money for him. I don't think he's going to fit into our team. I don't think he's going to fit into the Premier League. That's just my opinion.
I think it's tough on Guilherme because I would like to have seen him in the second half with that team.
It's tough for him to start in that sort of team.
Yeah.
So you never know. He could, as you said, he could play with, if Alvarez and Souček might have started, it might have been a better option for him, because I felt that he was out of position all the time. He just didn't look like he knew where he needed to be on the pitch.
Yeah.
And that's not his fault. Nope. That's other players as well not working. Yeah. I mean, Kudus was a big miss last night. I thought that game would have suited him.
Yep.
Paquetá, I thought, had a decent game. A lot of people were slagging him off, but I actually thought he played all right. I thought he was the only one that he looked like he was trying to put tackles in and try to rough up the Wolves midfield a bit and get stuck in.
Yeah, that's the thing with Paquetá. Defensively, I had no problem with him yesterday because he was winning the ball back and then trying to start attacks. It's just in terms of creating stuff and making things happen.
But the thing is, you can, as a creative player, right? So for me, the starting 11 was questionable.
Yeah.
Even with Kudus missing, it was very questionable. Ward-Prowse and Paquetá as a midfield too. There ain't a lot of legs there. I know you say about legs and things like that in the midfield. I weren't too happy about that. Guilherme coming in, obviously that was because Kudus was missing.
I was actually excited to see him start.
Yeah, same.
Because I thought, you know what, it's something different.
Yeah.
I have to say for him though, I think he'd done well in terms of, trying to make forward passes where everyone was passing sideways. But you look at that link up he had with Scholes, where Scholes sort of fucked it up at the end, where they had the pass. He was trying to do the pass and move, and then Scholes overhits the final pass where Guilherme was getting into space. He almost had an assist at some point in the game as well. We put in a great ball, and I can't remember who was on the end of it who fluffed it. So yeah, look, it's not for his first start. I thought
hard.
he's done.
Yeah, he looked tidy on the ball. He didn't, his passes. He kept his passes on point. He done the basic, simple. But I just think that the 11 really didn't suit him playing in that.
No.
And with Paquetá, there's a lot of times, we tried to play out from the back. We were far too deep in that first half. Trying to play out from the back, Kilman a couple of times nearly got caught by the centre forward.
Mavropanos as well, a couple of times got caught out. And I don't know why.
Surprise.
I know that Potter likes to play that way, of playing out the back like the Guardiola way and what everyone's trying to do now. But when you ain't got the players to do that, I mean, Mavropanos panics when he's on the ball.
Yep.
I don't know why Tadibo didn't start last night. If he's fit enough to be on the bench, he's fit enough to start.
This is exactly it, mate. And this is the thing. I don't get that starting 11. I really don't. I think it was a gamble that didn't pay off. There was no reason for Mavropanos to start. We need to be working on this Tadibo-Kilman partnership at the back. Creswell, I think, picks himself in that left centre-back spot at the minute because he has been performing really well. And it's supporting Skulls. But there was times when you're doing that, and I remember watching in the first half, and we're doing it so deep, and they're pressing on, and thinking, we've got to get the ball to Paquetá. And there's a lot of times where Paquetá's come to receive the ball from Kilman or Mavropanos, and they've gone wide.
And they go wide or long.
Yeah.
And it's just like, he's the man. He's in that team to play the ball for.
Yeah.
He's the one you give it to make... And we're not giving him the ball.
They're playing it up to Ferguson, and he's got the two Wolves centre-backs right up his arse.
Yeah.
And there was other times they're pumping it long to Bowen, thinking Bowen's... It's just like... The distribution from Areola at times as well was very questionable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, fair play to him, though. He pulled off a good save.
That was a brilliant save.
Brilliant save from Areola.
Yeah, point blank range.
Great header as well from the Wolves player, but yeah, great save from Areola.
He's got them in his locker, them saves. He's made a few important saves. Like I said, if he could just work on his distribution, because I said there was a few of those kicks that went out for throws. I mean, I lost count the amount of throw-ins that were in that game.
I'll tell you what, I've lost count of how many different hairstyles he's had this season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's had more hairstyles than he has clean sheets.
But that's what I was wondering when he made that first one. It went out for a throw. I was wondering if his braids were too tight. Like,
Did you see that? He's trying to kick it and he's just sliced
yeah,
it.
he sliced it. Yeah, it's but yeah, it was a massively frustrating first half of football.
I just think we haven't got any identity at the moment. Do you think Potter may be thinking, right, how many games are left now? 8 games?
Yeah.
He's experimenting.
We're 17 points clear. Do you think he's just trying to look at what players he's going to want to try to keep for next season? Giving them a little chance? Because we're not, unless anything drastic happens, we're not going to get relegated. No. We're going to be enough to pick up a few more points this season. We're probably going to finish around probably where we are, maybe 1 or 2 places above. We're not going to go any higher. No. So this season's a write-off. Now, it's maybe Potter is just trying to, as you said, experiment with different players.
But I just think we just missed the trick because, we need to sort of push a bit higher. Wolves was a winnable game. And, the fact that Man United lost as well, that would have put, if we had won that one, it would have put us joint points with Manchester United, above Everton, above Spurs. And, we were saying, we're in this little mini league with them 3 other sides, and we need to finish above them. Because it's a decent thing to sit there and say, we've had a shit season, but we still finished above Spurs and Man United.
Yeah. I think Man United and Tottenham fans will probably be saying the same. It's been a terrible season for like us and them as well, but for us, going back to the game, second half, obviously we had to make the changes. It was the right decisions to take them players off. I know you said about Guilherme. I'm like you. It might have been good to see him maybe get 15, 20 minutes of the second half, but Potter made that decision. When we haven't even mentioned their goal yet, goal, Larson, was like the way we backed off and allowed him that space for that shot. Yeah, it took a deflection off of, was it Kilman?
Kilman, yeah.
But I mean, the amount of room that we give Wolves in that first half in the midfield, that Gomez was taking the mick.
Yep.
He was running the show. What a player he is, by the way.
Yeah.
He was. When I look at Wolves individually, they've got some good players. Yep. Like when you and you think of the players that they've let go over the last couple of years.
And they didn't even have Cunha playing as well.
Exactly.
Imagine if he was playing.
And if they kept them, who knows where Wolves could have been. But that's unfortunately that the Wolves are a bit like, that sort of club they've got to sell to buy.
Yeah,
so
much how we used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. but it's. I think like you said, because of it is an unlucky deflection, but you're putting yourself in a situation where that can happen by backing off, and it happened so many times where they was just passing the ball through it around in our box.
There was one where they just done one touch in our box, and I think he was offside in the end. But if they would have scored that, it's one of them. If it had gone in and they would have counted, you'd have had to stand up and clap it. Because it was a brilliant. It would have been. And they hit the crossbar as well. They had that chance.
Yeah.
And that's the worrying thing. This is no disrespect to him, a poor Wolves side, and it just shows how poor we actually are.
They're 17th for a reason.
Exactly. And let's be honest, mate, we're 16th for a reason.
Yeah,
They're creeping up.
they're 5 points, I think, behind us now.
So, as I said, second half we changed it. We looked a lot better in the second half.
Fulkrug looked good when he come on a full.
I was really impressed with him.
Yeah.
Really, really impressed with him. He looks a lot leaner.
Yep.
He looks hungry to want to prove that he thinks I've got 8 games left to show West Ham fans why you signed me.
Yeah.
He's putting himself about, he's putting his head in. Could have had a penalty, On another day it might have been given.
Yeah.
And to me, I look at Fulker and I think that's why we shouldn't really see Ferguson start the rest of the season. He's not going to be our player. We're not signing him. I haven't seen anything about him. His hold-up play is all right, but there's nothing I've seen in games he's come on. And this was the chance I gave. Okay, this is your first start. Show us what you can do. He didn't
The thing
show
is,
us
though, it's a
hardly
bit
anything.
like Guilherme. They're both their first start in a changed side.
Yeah, but Guilherme's our player. At the end of the day,
I know Guilherme's
he's
our
not.
player, but it's a bit tough. I think if you put Kudus into that side yesterday, things might have been a little bit different.
I just look at it and I think with Ferguson, like with this team now, you look at Fulkrug, he drops deep, he gets involved in the build-up. Do you know what I mean? He links up.
But you've got to think is when Fulkrug was fit at the start of the season, they were training that way. Do you know what I mean? When in training, they were training to try and link up through him and stuff like that. So they would have been training. So he's more adapted, and the players are more adapted to play with him than they are.
The thing is with Ferguson as well is he knows and we know we've got a player that's not going to be here next season.
Yeah.
So he's just using this as a fitness camp.
Yeah.
But
He'll want to score goals. He'll want to
exactly.
prove Brighton wrong why they let him go. But it's a tough one for him and it's a tough one for us.
Yeah.
But
he's never going to get enough time to get up to the level that we need to actually impact the team. There's no point, in my opinion, wasting time starting him.
Well, this is the thing now. I think we've really got to sit down and look at, not us, obviously, Potter. He's got to sit down and look at if he wants to sign Ferguson in the summer, right? Even if it's as a backup option, if he wants to sign him in the summer, does he now play him every week to see what he can do? And run the risk that he does have that run of goals and it pushes his price tag up? Or does he sit there now and make the decision, we're not going to sign him, we're not going to play him?
I think it might be a bit too soon in the next 2 or 3 games for Fulkrug to start. Because he's been out for 3 months. He's got to get his fitness up. So we might see Armstrong... Ferguson. I don't know why I keep
You
saying
always
Armstrong.
do that, yeah.
I don't know why I do that.
We need to sign Armstrong.
We need to... Yeah, and I'll call him Ferguson.
Yeah.
Ferguson...
Yeah.
We might see him start the next few games, but then Fulkrug will eventually end up starting.
Yeah. And that's the
Fucking
thing. Fulkrug.
But the thing is, I've seen more from Ings when he comes off the bench than I see from Ferguson. Like Ings impacts the game more.
I feel a bit sorry for Danny Ings, and I know I'm not his greatest fan since he's been at the club, but I feel a bit sorry for him that he should be getting more game time than what he has been.
I'm with you. I do feel sorry for him, but he isn't going to be our player at the end of the season.
No, he's not going to be our
But
player.
neither is Ferguson, most likely.
But
yeah,
Danny Ings, like he can get you a goal. It's rare, but he can get you a goal.
Exactly.
And I just think once again showed last night that he gets his critics, but when Souček's not in the team, you notice it. And we did
with you, mate.
We was losing. I mean, he had that chance, didn't he? God bless him. He should have squared it to Fulkrug. He's obviously seen his name on the scoreboard. He's thinking, but
from there, trying to slot it in near post.
I'll be honest. I think he ain't got his head up.
He scuffed it, innit?
Nah,
But he ain't got his head up to see the run. That run, and this is the thing with Fulkrug. What you're saying, we win. I think it was Bowen won the ball back, didn't he? Goes into Fulkrug. Fulkrug plays it to Souček, and then he makes that run. He spins off, makes that run, and gets himself in such a great position. And I think you have got to criticise Souček because he didn't get his head up.
No.
You know, and that's the thing. I think if he squares that, it's 1-1.
Yeah.
You know, that
100%.
was the squaring the ball was a better option.
And also we had the chance where Fulker hit the crossbar with his header, and then it landed on Emerson's left peg, where you think he's going to smash this in, and
Smashes
he's tried
it.
a little Di Canio volley, and
Yeah.
Do you know what? I don't understand how Emerson's fallen out of favour. You know, because he's such a good player.
I just think it's because Scholes has been so good.
Yeah, I don't
But they're
necessarily.
talking about moving Emerson on, and I don't.
But he's
get that.
31 years old, so I think if you look at, listen, I would keep at this stage, unless we're going to get decent money, I'm happy with Scholes and Emerson as the two as fighting out for that left back, left wing back position.
And I think that will be it next season. I think Creswell, this will be his final season. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka showed again last night his class.
Yeah.
Like the
He was man of the
he
match,
puts
easy.
in, his work rate. You know, it's just a shame that he's got other players around him that ain't got his work rate.
Yeah. And to be fair, he is getting a bit of an understanding. Him and Bowen are getting a bit of an understanding on that right hand side.
He was one of the few players actually showing some urgency to get the ball up the bloody pitch. So I was happy. I think with Scholes, I think he probably looks at it. Scholes is the future. Scholes is the future. So if you can get Scholes in and get this experience, he didn't have his best game yesterday, but it's all valuable experience for him.
Of course it is.
I would rather play Scholes and have Emerson as the backup at 31 years old, where he's probably not got many years left at West Ham. And so, as much as Emerson, he hasn't done anything wrong to deserve to be dropped, but in the long term, I think it's best for the club that we bring Scholes through.
And I do agree. And this is the thing, you know, we've got to look at ways to utilise our youth team players, because we just seem to ship them on and move them on. And I think if they are good enough, then they've got to start be given a chance.
Well, I think that's what you'll see under Potter, you know, and we've got Potts signed his new deal. That's what I'm most excited for next season, to see which youngsters are going to get
I think Potts will be a big part of the first team plans next season.
I think so. I think for them to give him that contract.
Yeah, they've obviously loaned him out. He's been doing wonders at Portsmouth. Portsmouth are thinking about trying to sign him. I think that I know there's a few people out there that are obviously not happy with Potter at the moment, and I can see why. It's frustrating as for me as well, but I'm not going to judge Potter straight away, because it's like what you said. It's like starting a new job as a labourer, but you've got to use the previous labourer's tools that weren't so good. So you've got to go in and just get on with it until you can afford to go out and buy your new tools. So he's obviously got plans. He's already planning ahead for next season. These last 8 games now is about him just trying to pick up a few more wins. You know, and then I'll judge him more next season. I'll see what he does in the transfer window, pre-season, and then obviously how we start next season.
Well, that's it. The thing is, look, I think it's completely fair to criticise a manager in isolation on the performance and say his substitution should have been better. He needs to try and get more out of this. But I think it's way too over the top to be dismissing Potter and completely throwing him under the bus or wanting a change of manager at this point. Because he's only been here a few weeks, the football's unbearable. But it's been like that for over a year now. So if you look at it, it's the same. You look at Moyes, Lopetegui, Potter. We're seeing the same sort of sideways, backwards passing, the same lack of identity. When do we start to look and see maybe it's the squad building? And we've got to this point because of the lack of balance in the team. And that's what I think it comes down to.
Blame the players as well. You know, they're the ones that. I mean, I see an interview the other day, and I don't know how true it is, but there probably is a bit of truth about it, about David Moyes when he was in charge of West Ham, that the players didn't really listen to him. They go on the pitch and Rice would say, "Let's do what we want to do," and that was in that season where we won the Conference League. Because Moyes was a good coach, but as a manager, they didn't really respect him as much.
Interesting.
It's a little bit disrespectful to the manager, but
I mean, if it pays off, then it's hard to.
I think sometimes, and Scott, you've been in this position as well. Like, you know, sometimes a manager will tell you something, but on the pitch you just go against it.
You know, look, at the end of the day, you pick the side, you put the side out there. It's down to the side to perform, and at a higher level is completely different to what it is as the lower leagues. But sometimes you need players to take the initiative and see things in the game that you may not see. And this is the thing from my understanding with Moyes. Look, as we said, Moyes gave us the best night of our lives, football-wise, you know, while winning that Conference League. But sometimes, from what I've heard about him, he was a bit stubborn in his ways and didn't listen to the people around him. I've been on the sideline managing teams at lower level, right? I think sometimes people you're with, and this is why you have assistants, this is why you have coaches, because they may see something that you're not seeing.
Yeah.
And that's when you've got to sit there, listen to it, take it on board. And as I said, as a player,
You know what, Alan Irvine, that's what I think. I think Alan Irvine was one of the people that he did listen to. And we see the difference between when he left West Ham and when he was at West Ham. And now look at him, he's back with him at Everton and they're doing well at Everton. And that's not to take anything away from Moyes. Moyes is still the man at the top. But to have a good team that you were willing to listen to.
Good captains on a pitch can run a team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They can tell that you can, as I said, you can. I'm sure Nolan done it under Allardyce. I'm sure loads of players have done it.
Of course they have.
I'm sure Roy Keane done it under Ferguson.
Yeah.
You know, but look, something's got to change because there's still 8 games left of the season. I think it is, and we've got some big games coming up. You know, Bournemouth at home on Saturday is a massive game now. Not massive in the terms of we've got to change or anything, just to get a win.
Yeah.
And then we've got Liverpool away, write that off. Then we've got Southampton at home. Now, if we lose them next 3 games, it's going to turn toxic over there.
Oh, yeah.
Listen,
It might actually do good to turn toxic over there because then you might actually hear some of the crowd, some of the noise. It's been flat all season.
If we lose in the next 3 games, I'd bin a lot of these players off and play the youngsters because I just feel like a lot of them they're on their holidays, and honestly, I was saying this on the watch along as well. I think there's a distinct lack of football IQ in that team. When I see some of the decisions, honestly, I was going mad yesterday watching Soler. You had Scholes, who was out on the left, loads of space. What does Soler do? He literally turns around, turns back to our goal, and passes it backwards when Scholes is making the run.
But also,
No, don't excuse that, Scott.
No,
I know what you're going to do.
No, but this is the thing, right? And this is where it comes into sometimes what we were saying about players have got to take the responsibility on the pitch. The problem is, if that's what they've been coached to do, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, but
and with Soler under Lopetegui, that's what he was coached to do. Potter's coaching the same way. You know, and this is the thing.
How can that be coached when the player's wide open, unmarked?
This is the
you're
thing.
coached to not pass to him and pass backwards.
But this is what
that
we're
makes
saying.
no sense,
But
Scott.
this is what we're saying. With where players have got to sometimes go against what the manager wants.
But I don't think any manager would coach a player to not pass to a player that's wide open, instead pass backwards.
It could also be...
This is in the second half, we're chasing the game.
But
It could also be a confidence. Yeah, I was about to say that. Soler might think, I might not make this pass. I might overhit it, or he's not got confidence in Scholes.
I mean,
that he can take it further. Players do think like that. They look at certain players and think, I'm not passing to you, I'll pass it. We've seen that for years.
Yeah.
That is a thing in football.
I'm tired of it, mate. I'm tired of seeing the sideways, backwards passing. Tired of players not taking
Do you know
that
what
risk.
I'm tired of?
What?
I'm tired of seeing the fucking kickoff where we go long to Souček and it never fucking works. And I'm just fed up now that we've got Potter, Lopetegui, Moyes, and then even if you go back further than that, Pellegrini and Bilic, and Allardyce, when Souček weren't there, same kickoff routine. 6 different managers.
Do you think
Same
Sullivan puts
kickoff
it in the
routine.
contract?
Honestly,
Like, this is what I
it's-
want to see.
Come on, switch it up a bit. You know, and this is the thing. The mad thing is that there's certain things that are embedded in our club that seem to just transfer from manager to manager to manager that we don't seem to get out.
But do you know what is what I don't understand, right? That we watched that first Villa game together, right? Potter's first game, that first half. We was buzzing. That first half, mate, we couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
We was pressing, we was being, proactive. We was trying to get the ball up the pitch, we was being direct. Where is that? What's happened to that? Is it literally just because Somerville's missing? Does it all depend on Somerville? I just don't get it.
Yeah, no.
We've seen what we can do.
He's only got 3 wins, isn't he? Is that 11 games now?
The thing for Potter, the stats are terrible.
Yeah.
3 wins, 20th in most shots, in the whole Premier League. And that's the worry. But the problem is, he's inherited a poor team in the way that we were playing under Lopetegui. And look, the Moyes lovers are going to sit there and the grass is never greener. We were shit towards the end of last season under David Moyes.
Oh yeah,
The whole second half of the season.
To be fair, most of the first half of the season.
Even the season when we won the Conference League, we were shit.
Yeah,
if he wouldn't have won that Conference League, he'd have been sacked that season.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time. It's been how many games can you sit there and say over the last, take out Europe, Premier League, in the last 4 years, have you sat there and thought, "Oh, what a game!
Yeah,
we deserved that." You probably count about 4, 5.
Yeah, literally
yeah.
count one hand.
And that's the thing, and this is where Potter gets, in my opinion, and I know we were talking about it before we started filming, he gets a little bit of grace because this isn't his team.
Yeah.
But the one thing you can say under Potter, barring that, the Villa game was great, the Arsenal performance was really good.
Yeah.
But again, you could sit there and say, well, did we raise our game because it was a big side? We've seen it time after time.
Look what we've done though in previous years under Lopetegui and Moyes.
yeah.
We
Fell apart.
got bad.
Yep.
I'm not saying always under Moyes, but I'm talking about in recent times. We got bad, and that is one thing you can really say. If you can't say anything else of Potter, he has sorted out this defence. Yes, we conceded, but look at the rate we was conceding goals before he come in.
Exactly.
Now.
That is the biggest plus you can sit there and say since Potter's come in.
Last season,
we don't win a lot, but we're a lot.
Last season, 4s, 5s on a regular. Lopetegui 4s, 5s.
Liverpool away will be a big test for him because if we go there and get battered, and I mean like 4 or 5 or maybe 6 past us, then because I think it was Gio done a video a couple of weeks ago about Potter, and he brought up the fact that towards the end of his reign at Brighton, I think he only won one home game in 3 months.
Yep.
And then he obviously got the Chelsea job. And that obviously didn't go well for him.
But I think with Chelsea, it was a bit of a poison.
Oh yeah, look, Chelsea's a big job.
Yeah,
especially when you've got owners like that.
Yeah.
But I also, and this is what when Potter was coming in, and I weren't that excited about the appointment. This is the worry for me because as much as other fans will sit there and say it's just my West Ham hat being on, it's very much West Ham is a big job. Do you know what I mean? It's a bigger job than Brighton.
Yeah.
And that's no disrespect to Brighton. We're a bigger club than Brighton.
I get that. It's a lot of pressure when you take over a club like West Ham because the fan base expects, especially after winning that European trophy. We thought we was going to start moving up and every year be in Europe.
Yeah.
But now we've dropped out of Europe. It might take us years before we get back into Europe.
Yeah.
And we've had a taste of what European football brings to our club and what the fan base loves as well. So it's when I look at teams like Bournemouth, I look at their manager, I think he's brilliant. He will manage a big club. In the next few years, he will be at a big club. I'm not saying Bournemouth ain't a big club, by the way, but you know what I mean, like a top European club.
Yep.
I look at their players and what they've built, and their capacity is 10,000, 11,000. So they're obviously doing something right behind the scenes because match day revenue is not as big as ours.
No.
But they invest well, they bring in the right players, and they have a good manager.
It's the plan.
That's what we need.
That's what I'm saying. We haven't got that plan. I don't know what the plan is.
No.
I mean, that's
Sullivan's plan is to stay up.
Yeah.
That's his plan.
But the thing is, we brought in Steidton, but instead of just saying to Steidton, here's the key. Look, I know people, you don't like Steidton, you like him. He has a lot to answer for. He's done some.
I think Steidton's main problem was he was trying to get too involved in the first, like being in the dressing room all the time.
Well,
I think, but that's what I think. A lot of that bringing in that type of person within your football club, they get involved in everything because you're basically.
But he shouldn't be nowhere near the dressing room on a match day.
No, but I think a lot of it. I think you had the wrong managers in place.
That's why Moyes, even Lopetegui, didn't want Steidton there because he was causing he thought, "Why are you in here?"
Well, you obviously bring someone like that in to set up a system.
Yeah.
So again, with the likes of Brighton, they've got this system. They know how they play. They get the managers to suit the way that they're playing. Yeah. They have this plan. They're going to try and find gems from all over the world, put them into this side. They're going to get a manager to play a certain way. Yeah. They're going to have the setup. And I think that's what Steidton was expecting to do.
Yeah, but what I was trying to...
Then he had Lopetegui going, "Oh, I don't want this player, I want this player." Sullivan going, "Well, I want this player." And you had too many...
You've said my point before I could say it, Scott. That's what I was trying to say. Is that you bring someone, instead of just giving him the keys and say, right, you're responsible now, you pick the manager, you pick the coach, you pick the players. Like you said, Moyes had that role where he had his players and Sullivan had his input and Steidton. Then that went with Lopetegui. Like Lopetegui had a few players that he wanted, and there was no. Yeah. And this is the problem with the squad building that we've got now. There's no identity, and going forward, And I have no energy for new manager talk right now. I'm not interested in hearing it
no point.
because I'm just tired of it now. We've been through it for the past year. Who's the next manager? Like, just fucking stick with this guy for a while. Give him a chance and actually give him some players. We've got this Cole McCauley in with a recruitment strategy. So go with this new way of doing things.
Yep.
Sullivan keep out of it and actually just back this guy and see what he can do. And then he can live and die by what he gets in.
See, I believe any new signings, the manager should have the last say.
Yeah.
Because he's got to work with them. He should have he can't just be given, oh yeah, you got to work with these players, because he might not fancy them.
Yep.
If they don't suit his style, he can be shown players like, look, we've seen this kid in Argentina. What do you think of him? Okay, scouts, go and watch him. I'll go and watch him. Yeah, I like him. He can't just turn up at Rush Green and say, oh, there you go, we've signed them players, go and work with them. Look, sometimes these people like Stighton and that, they have to make that decision because the deal might need to be done straight away. And if
which is a bit like
if the player's worth it, then go and get the deal done. But I always think that managers should have a massive say in who they want in their squad.
There's one way in which I would slightly disagree in terms of what you said about getting people that has to suit their style. I think we need to get managers that suit our style, right? So we have an identity, we have a style of play, this is how we want, and we get a coach that matches that, and we get players that match that. And then what happens is, if that guy don't work out, we sack that guy, and then you get someone who plays a different way, and then they've got players already there that suit them, and you don't, because we get in this situation where we have to rip everything up and start again.
You'll be forever sacking managers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because now we've got to then, well, we've brought in the new geezer because we sacked the old geezer, but he plays a different way to the last guy. So now we need to get rid of a load of these players and bring in players that suit his style.
Top managers can go into a new club. Like Jose's done it throughout his career. He'll go into a new club and he will look at players that maybe might not be in the first team, but he'll watch them and say, do you know what? You're not good on the right, but if I move you in the middle, it will suit you more.
Yeah.
And that's what good managers can do.
Or you do what Bilic did and go to Antonio. You're good on the right, but if I move you to right back,
But
you'll be awful.
Harry Redknapp done that with, look at the famous one, Gareth Bale. Struggled at left back.
Yeah.
I'll move you forward
him
to a
left
left winger.
wing.
Become one of the best players of all time. Won 5 Champions Leagues. Modric, he was out on the left. I'll move him in the middle. He's too small. He can't play there. Won a Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, one of the best numbers.
You know, so sometimes managers can spot these things. So, like Somerville, a new manager, Potter might look at Somerville next season and think, do you know what, you might be better playing a little bit more forward.
The mad thing is, I think Potter, the way Somerville played in that first game, I think Potter was looking at him to be the one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To be the player, because he was.
He's got a lot of potential, Somerville. It's just a shame he's picked up this injury.
That injury's absolutely ruined him, because he was, when you look at him at Leeds, he was Leeds' best player. You know, and we got him and we didn't use him right. He was Lopetegui's Benrahma.
Yeah, he was the new Benrahma.
Yeah, and I think under Potter, he would have been given more trust, and I think he would have took that on. It's just really such a shame that the injury happened the way it happened.
It's gutting. But I just look at the team, and I just think it's criminal how we've built such an old and slow team. Like, when you look at what's there and you think, how have this has this been allowed to happen? And I think Stites, Sullivan, Moyes, Lopetegui have all got to take equal, share out some blame on that.
Yep.
Because I just look at it, I think, how have we got no pace? And this is the thing, I said on the watch line, I said, I'm going to ask you, Scott, on here, if you still think the midfield is not a priority. Because, my God, Scott, did they glide through that They strolled through our midfield.
They did, but we only had 2 in there, and it weren't that great.
Oh, so we just pack it out and just put.
It's not. The thing is, they what? They had 3 in there. We had 2. We had Ward-Prowse and Paquetá.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're up against the 3,
because those are our options.
I don't get why Alvarez didn't start.
If they've got a 3, you've got to match that.
Yeah,
because you can't. You're going to get overrun, especially with the players they've got and the legs we've got in midfield. We've got no pace in that midfield.
No, and that's what Dan's alluding to. There's no energy in there, and I do get that.
You can't say it's not a priority, Scott.
What
the
we
midfield.
lack.
Come on, in the transfer window.
I'll tell you what we lack and what we miss. We obviously Declan Rice was brilliant at what he done. He would win that ball and he would take it forward. He's doing it a lot more at Arsenal now, but for us, that's what he was good at.
Yeah, there's no one
and
driving.
He used to just sit there and he'll dictate, he'll win the tackles, he'll give the ball, he'll play the right balls. I think that Potts next season will be able to step into that role. From what I've seen of him, I think given a chance, he can play that role. So he could be our next sort of Declan Rice. But you can't give him 1 or 2 games and then take him out. You just got to think, right, I'm going to have him there.
Yeah.
And then you start building around. What players we lack in our team, and I've said this before, we need someone, I'm not saying Phil Foden, but we need someone like a Phil Foden, someone that just drops and wants the ball. And this is where I was saying last week, and I know you're going to hate this because you're not really a fan of him, when I was saying about Jack Grealish. Because I think that if we did sell, I think Grealish would suit that sort of system. And he's someone that looks for the ball. That's what we lack, and we've lacked that for the last few years.
The thing is, you say that, this goes back to my point about Paquetá. When he's looking for the ball, we don't give him the ball. And this is the problem. You've got, as the centre halves, right, you're playing about the back and playing.
Because all of our players are thinking, has he got a bet on here? Is he going to get the ball?
But you know what I mean? You've got to be looking to give the guy the ball because he is technically the best player we've got on the ball.
If you give Paquetá the ball 10 times, he might lose it a couple of times, but you know he is going to create something.
Exactly.
Like how many times I love it when he plays that ball when he's got the ball at his feet and he looks at the run and he plays that perfect ball just over the top.
Yeah.
He does it all the time. Him and Bowen last season and the season before had that connection. Bowen now seems to play more out wide.
Yeah.
Where I think with injuries he's got her. But for me personally, I think if we had a fully fit squad, I'd put Bowen up top.
It's hard with Bowen up top because I think Bowen's best position is when he's on the ball and he's driving.
Oh yeah. No, don't get me wrong. He's up there as one of the best in the Premier League at doing that.
Yeah, and sometimes if he's playing up front in the 2, I don't mind that. But if he's on there on his own, it's not.
He gets lost in the shuffle.
Do you remember when we had Kudus, Paquetá, Bowen, and Antonio?
Yeah.
And do you remember when Kudus and they all used to swap?
Yeah, they had
all
the
used
free
to
roll.
swap.
Yeah.
And that's when we used to fucking play well. You remember that time? Was it last season or the season before? And we played Wolves at home. I think it was. It was last season. We played Wolves at home, beaten 3-0, and Kudus and Paquetá just fucking ruined them.
Yep.
Boston. Kudus got 2 goals that game, I think it was, and they just and that's what I like with Paquetá when he drops deep and he receives the ball, and that's what I'm saying. We're lacking someone like that.
Yeah, but the problem is that when you look at that, it was a 3-man midfield, you know, because he was the head of the 3-man midfield, and you had players there doing the work. And again, this goes back to the game, the Wolves game. The balance wasn't right in that starting 11. And that's where Potter's got to look at it and take some criticism. Whether he was looking at players or not, the balance wasn't right in that midfield. And that's the key worry. I like this 2 up top. I like the 5 at the back. But to play just 2 in the midfield, you've got to get the balance right.
The only thing with 5 at the back is that you lose a midfielder.
Yeah. But you can compensate that with your wingers going forward.
Because your wing backs.
When you look at when you play that 5 at the back, defensively it's a 5. Going forward, that's a 3.
Yeah, and Wan-Bissaka and Scholes are good at getting forward and getting back. Yeah. So
I don't think Ward-Prowse is good enough to be a starter for the long term. I think we need to play. I just look at him and I think maybe as a squad player, but what he brings. I thought he was poor. I thought he was quite poor yesterday.
He was poor last night.
But again, I think because of the type of player he is, and I do understand where you're coming from with the midfield being a priority. I think with the type of player Ward-Prowse is. Again, he needs to play in a 3. He can't play in a 2. You know, look, I'm sure at Southampton, when he was bossing it at Southampton, he played in a 3.
For him to play as a 3, he needs younger legs around him to do his running.
Of course.
Because if you give Ward-Prowse space to ping balls, he's one of the best in the Premier League at doing it.
Yeah.
But you gotta make him get the space, and the other 2 have got to protect any players getting to him to give him that time. That's what we're lacking.
It's a bit like in American football where you've got to protect the quarterback. You know, that's the thing.
It's a tough one. Like you just see us, we do the same things, and that's the problem.
Thing.
Like you see, we give them so much time to get back and get their shape, and you think I'd rather you take that risk and try and make that pass before they have a chance to set, and it don't come off, and then then we're going to be an encounter. But every time we get the ball, our counter attack is it's like non-existent. We just
No,
give them
and-
teams so much
Yeah,
time,
and that's the thing.
and
you
we
know,
can't break them down
you
when they
look
do
at, When
it.
you look at when we broke into Europe, our counter attack was on point.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? The football weren't great at times, but our counter attack was on point. We've got a counter attacking squad, but it's not on point. You know, we're not doing the basics of counter attack.
I mean, look how they counter attacked. I mean, they showed us how it was done.
And this is the worrying thing. You know, you're looking at Wolves. You've got Wolves who have played a counter attacking type thing, a high press. Why can't we play the high press? Why are we so deep?
I mean, on the balance of play last night, a point would have probably been the draw would have been a fair result. But Wolves took their chance.
That's what I said. It's one of those.
Honestly,
A point would have been a fair point, but a 3-0 loss again would have been a fair point.
yeah, that's the thing. I think we.
Yeah,
could
we
have been-
rode our luck. You know, they missed a couple of chances. We had the bar saved us on one.
They're in a relegation battle, so I think in that second half they was happy to try and see out that win rather than go for the kill.
I mean,
you can see how much it meant to them
I
towards
think
the end.
I think they're safe anyway.
Yeah.
I thought they were safe before the game.
I think that just helped because you need that breathing room. And now, like if you look at the table, I don't know, you got the thing up.
I think if
what does that put them above the?
yeah, so they're
Bloody hell, yeah! It puts them
12 points.
12 points. Yeah, so from 9. So
what
they
I'm saying.
celebrated like it was the game to stay up. Like it was big.
If one thing we can give Lopetegui praise for was getting us enough points at the beginning of the season because you know I'd hate to imagine now if we was like 5 or 6 points.
Yeah, I wonder
17
though.
points is a good gap. We're not going to go down.
I wonder though if we. I was talking about this a bit on the watch along. Is if we had less points, we were closer to the drop. If we might see better performances because there's something to play for, where it does feel like the players don't have that motivation right now.
I'll be honest. I wouldn't have the confidence in the players. Well, a lot of them. I think there was a few players that could drag us through, but I just think squad-wise we're poor. It's a poor squad, and it's a shame because at the beginning of the season we was all excited.
Yeah, but I think that's what it goes. We was excited by. Yeah, do you know what the thing is? I think we was excited about individuals, right?
Yeah.
And we weren't looking at the bigger picture.
Do you think it was more excitement because it was a new manager? Because obviously the Moyes stuff, people wanted him out. It was a new manager.
New signings.
I think that was part of it. But you look at who we signed with Wan-Bissaka, right? We was excited by that, and he's Hammer of the Year, best player of the year, so that's a good sign. We was excited by Somerville.
Yep.
We didn't know he'd get injured.
Fulkrug,
we was excited because he's a good
Even that,
finisher.
though, when you look back at that, we signed him 31 years old at the time, and we had a chance to sign Duran, and we just wouldn't pay that extra money.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now Duran's out in Saudi, sort of wasting the next few years of his career.
Who else should we sign? We signed obviously Rodriguez and Soler. I think we was just like, one a loan and a free signing we weren't fussed about.
I'll be honest, mate. I think Soler was that was an excited signing. He's a decent player. Tadibo coming in.
Tadibo was another one, but
Kilman.
again, Tadibo and Kilman, I think, has been decent, especially when he's had Tadibo next to him.
Yeah.
Tadibo was obviously missed a lot of football,
Yep.
so I was excited by the quality of the players. But this is what I'm saying, like, I think when you look at the individuals that we signed a lot of good individuals. Some of them haven't been fit, some of them have been fit, have been good.
Yeah.
But it just shows we didn't sign that striker, that key striker. Because I look at Fulkrug and he's 31, he should have been like an option, then you have your marquee signing.
Yeah.
And again, we didn't bring in enough pace. So I think on individual quality, we've got it, but again, not enough legs, not enough balance in the team. And I think we just didn't look at the bigger picture, and fans were looking at individuals. And that's why, look, we're going to, at the end of the season, we're going to look back on our predictions for this season. We was confident it's going to be a howler. But
it's always good to have confidence at the beginning of the season, especially when you got a new manager, a new buzz. There was a lot of buzz around the club. But now, I watch West Ham and it's boring. I don't get excited to watch West Ham no more. And something's got to change. Like,
And I said this to you, didn't I?
it's not even that. It's not even watching it at home. You go to games and people look like they don't want to be there.
Yep.
It's like a chore. And that's one of the main reasons why I stopped going this season, because it was becoming a chore. And a chore and a bore.
Yeah.
And like even watching it at home. The only reason I enjoy watching it at home now is because I ain't got that long walk back and I'm already home. And I want that to change. I want it to go back to, because there was that, even sort of like under Moyes, I know it wasn't great, but there were times where you turn up and you was looking forward to watching us play.
I'll be honest, mate. Even through that period of time when there was so much aggravation over there, it was more you'd go there with a bit of anticipation. At the
There
moment,
was something like I said. I think this season, barring Avram Grant season, has been one of the worst seasons in the last.
I'll be honest, mate.
15
In
years.
some respects, the Premier League's probably this is one of the worst seasons of the Premier
Oh,
League.
yeah.
It's great for the Premier League with teams like Forest, Bournemouth, Fulham all
Yeah.
pushing up high.
The standard
But
of football is
it's dropped.
dropped big time.
Yeah.
Football as a whole has dropped. Like,
I don't
so
enjoy
poor.
football as a whole anymore,
No,
as
so
like I
boring.
used to. Like I can watch any game. You could put a game on, and I'm just not as
Do you
excited
know why?
by it.
Because I think every team tries to play the same way now. Every game is the same. It don't matter who's playing. You could watch Man United versus Man City, or you could watch Shrewsbury versus fucking Port Vale.
They all try and play Man
They all
City
try
way.
to play the same
You
way.
rarely see a game that's end to end anymore. It will be like this team have their spell of control, and then the other team will come into the game and have their spell of control. It's never like, right, we're gonna fucking get this ball up the pitch. Go, oh shit!
Why
Now
it's
we're
rare
on the
now
back.
that you get a high scoring game.
Yeah.
Games now are usually
Yeah.
like so close, like the odd goal.
Yeah.
Where you go back and watch Premier League years from the 90s, you used to see teams to like win 5-6-0 week in, week out.
Yeah, there'd be 5-4s and
4-3s,
4-3s.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's just-
like you don't see that so much.
I hope
so.
that obviously football can get better. I hope West Ham. I hope we can.
Exactly.
Next season it's like obviously we've got Bournemouth on Saturday,
Yeah.
which is going to be. I know you got the preview coming up, but it's going to be a difficult game because Bournemouth have been playing well this season.
Really
and the
good
size of the
team.
pitch, it will suit them more than it will suit us.
Yeah.
And they're going to be a difficult team to beat. And as I said, then we've got Liverpool next week. Then we've got Southampton at home. Then we've got Tottenham at home coming up. We've still got to play Man United away. We've got Brighton. Is it Brighton away? We've got Ipswich away.
Yeah.
Some big and Forest at home.
Yeah, I think it's
big games,
mate.
yeah.
Forest at home.
Big games.
So we're
Yeah.
lucky that we are 17
Yeah,
points.
yeah, yeah,
clear.
If we can't put performance in against Southampton, just right the season. I see so many comments actually on the Watcher that said after the game yesterday, do you know what? I'm checked out. I'm done for the season. I'm not watching anymore.
So
Yeah,
many,
I think
so
a
many
lot of people like
Yeah,
so many people.
people are like that, and do you know what? I just don't get. Just get me to the end of the season because it does feel we play like it, and it looks like just a pre-season.
Yep.
And we have sort of given in like Potter as he's got to understand the players, but when you have to invest time and for a lot of people money into something that's essentially a pre-season, it's not enjoyable.
No,
So it just
exactly.
feels like we're in limbo at the moment until next season. And this is what I'm saying. We've wasted so much time with Lopetegui. We've put ourselves in this situation, and it's a harsh situation for Potter to come into. It's tough on him, but we can't just pretend to enjoy it because we're trying to give the new. I'm behind Potter all the way,
Same.
but I'm not going to pretend like I'm loving this. It's painful, but I'm going to give him time. But I'm
Yeah,
still
yeah.
gonna have a moan about it because
yeah.
listen,
Yeah,
this is what you got to do.
I think a majority of the fan base will say, we all know this is not Potter's team.
Yep.
This is not Potter's squad. Let's get through this season and see what happens next season. If it carries on, then we can say Potter out or wow, this, that and the other.
I'm really going to be sort of really scrutinising what we do in the summer in terms of profiles and how we build that squad. And Sullivan, you're always working with one arm tied behind your back with Sullivan, isn't you? That's the problem. So we'll see how he interferes and if we get Will Still signings and all this crap, we'll see. But do you know what the good thing is we have each other, we have the audience, we have the subscribers to share this. It's like therapy. We get around the table, it's like
that's it, mate. We're not carrying the burden alone.
yeah,
So
I'm Dad. I'm a West Ham fan.
We can't get sacked.
Yeah, I'm a West Ham holic. So yeah, listen, what more is there to say, lads? But yeah, so we'll have a preview for the Bournemouth game.
Mm-hmm.
So check out that Friday night pints, all of that business. I'm not at the Bournemouth game. I'm at my cousin's wedding. Do you know what? I was going into it thinking, do you know what? I'll do the old thing around the table. I'll get it on my phone. I don't think I'll bother. I just think I'll just enjoy the
It'd
wedding.
be a better surprise when you look at your phone and think, oh, we've won.
We've won.
Yeah,
exactly.
it would
Exactly.
it could sour the festivities.
That's it,
But yeah, there'll be fan cams and all of that stuff for it. So check it out. But thank you all for watching, everyone. And one thing left to say: come on, you Irons.